go ahead and get started. Okay. All right, everybody, welcome to the Urban Access IndyCon 2 Black Science Fiction Society panel. I'm going to be the moderator. My name is Joey Pinckney, and I just met Chastity Goodman. I've known Jarvis for many a year. What's your name, man?
Tanya.
Tanya, that's right. He did say it numerous times.
Yeah.
Tanya Woods, okay. All right, my name is Joey Pinckney. The way I came into this whole fold is through Jarvis Shepherd. I met him in the 90s. I was writing for this newspaper. It was called the Urban Journal in Nashville. And I got a chance to interview him. He was doing, Digital Brothers at the time?
Redhead Brothers, which was a multimedia company.
Yeah, so, I interviewed him for that. And over the years, we've maintained our friendship, even though we've kind of done other things professionally. And slowly but surely, we kind of did this number right here, where we came back together. And I'm a member of the Black Science Fiction Society, and I'm a strong supporter of whatever he does. And he actually asked me to come to the conference and see how things work and stuff like that. And I've been having a pretty good experience. I really do appreciate you letting me come. And then also, in terms of the panel, I do better like asking the questions and stuff like that. So, it gives me a chance to do that. So we're going to hop right into it. So we're going to start off with Tanya. Go ahead and introduce yourself to me.
So I am Tanya Woods. I am from here in Atlanta. I guess my role in all of this is that I do cosplay and I do costuming. I've started taking commissions. I met Jarvis through a different convention, the Atlanta Science Fiction and Fantasy Expo. I worked with the expo, and I was putting together, guest lists, and they were like, oh yeah, there's this guy, Jarvis Sheffield, and he does the Black Science Fiction Society. And, Jarvis does great work and is really cool, and he was like, you have to join up. And so I too joined the Black Science Fiction Society. And so, I'm a great supporter of urban indie events like this one, because, we always talk about we want to see more material for us, by us. And this is how you get it, is that you have to come out and you have to support these types of events. So that's why I'm here today. And because Jarvis was so kind to invite me.
Yeah, I'm Chastity Goodman. I am a writer. People scream, and that's great. I currently have a book called Could I Really Be President? And I met Jarvis online while I was in college looking for stuff to do my thesis on. My thesis was actually on African Americans in science fiction, and I'm looking through the scarcity of sources. At least there was 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm hunting, and then I go, oh, there's this whole website with like everything in the world. And so that's how I met Jarvis, and he was like, oh yeah, do this and do this, and there's so many pointers on there about how to become self-published. There's authors, there's writers, there's sample work, there's everything. So it was a great experience for me to hop on there and kind of see and feel my way through Afrofuturism and really get my feet wet. And so then he invited me to come here, be on the panel, and I was like, yeah, I have nothing to do Saturday. I'll be there.
Okay, and I want to thank everybody for all those kind words, but my name is Jarvis Sheffield. I'm the owner and creator of the Black Science Fiction Society. I'm an educator. I work in the library at Tennessee State University.
He's also a Randy Jackson cosplayer.
All right, let me know what the competition is. I'll be there. But I still run Digital Brothers, which is a multimedia company. We do web design, graphic design, web promotions, animation, and 3D, both 2D and 3D animation. We also produce Genesis magazine, Genesis anthology. This is one of the anthologies where we have 24 stories from members of the site. They submitted the top stories and they made it into this book, where we run the show. We have superpowers and spaceships and robots and all kinds of stuff. In addition, we're doing a 3D animated movie called Her Squad. So that's pretty much what I do and who I am in a nutshell.
All right, so I want to start off by asking you, Jarvis, how long has the Black Science Fiction Society been around, and how have you seen it grown since its inception?
Okay, its inception, really, the concept popped into my head in 2004, and I bought the domain name, and then I sat on the domain name for about 4 years, but then around 2008, two things kind of pushed me to doing Black Science Fiction Society. One, President Barack Obama was moving up in the ranks, and I was really impressed with what he was doing. So I was like, man, maybe I can do some of this stuff I've been thinking about. And my son kind of pushed me as well. I wanted to have a venue for him to find Black comics and movies and things of that nature. Because a lot of material that was out there was either they were sidekicks or some or villains. And that's he asked me. He was like, I think around 8. He was like, "Well, all the black guys, bad guys." And so we had to have a talk about society and how society is and how society we want it to be, things of that nature. But those two things kind of pushed me to go ahead and start Black Science Fiction Society. And when we started it, we started off with 20 people, and most of those were my friends that I went to college with and played video games with, and some of my little nerdy cartoons and stuff.
Right.
So they were the foundation of the site, and then I went on to. Then I think e-groups was still around before Yahoo bought them.
Right.
And I put a couple of ads out.
That was a long time ago.
I forgot about that until you said it. It was like, oh wait.
Oh yeah, that was ancient times, like 8 years ago. I think it jumped up to maybe 50 people, and then it kind of grew from 50 people, that 20 to 50, and then we would make a milestone every 100, and then every 1,000, and now we're about 5,000 people on the main site, and 10,000 on our Facebook group, and 9,700 on our Facebook page.
Okay.
So it's growing our leaps and bounds. We can never have too many people.
Right.
So you're welcome to join anytime. It's free.
Hey, Chance, the question I have for you is, what is your entry point into science fiction? Like, what is that first story or movie that really brought you into the genre? That you really noticed it?
College. Like I probably had it like all along when I was a kid, but I really wasn't cognizant of it until I got to a point where I had to pick something to do a thesis on, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And I heard this interview with Tavis Smiley on his show. He was interviewing Joe Morton, who we all know now as Papa Pope.
Right.
But of course, before he was Papa Pope, he was on some science fiction show.
He was a brother from another planet.
Yeah, but I don't think that was the one he was talking. But he was doing some stuff with the Sci-Fi Channel.
Eureka.
Yeah, that was the one, Eureka. And so he talked about, the comedian, the great comedian Richard Pryor, talking about how African Americans are always kind of left out of science fiction, or we're the first to die in these movies or horror movies because nobody sees us as useful in the future. And that got me thinking. I was like, really? Nobody sees us useful? I had never heard it put that way.
Right.
So I started to study it. I started to look into the authors, and so I started to ask my professors, like, we're doing all this reading. I had to read like 120 books one semester. I was like, so are there any black science fiction writers? And they were like, you mean you don't know any? I was like, well, you didn't assign any, clearly. And they threw out like 2 names, and so I read everything I could, and then I was like, wow, okay. And then I got kind of introduced to Afrofuturism, which is like that state of embodiment of African Americans as people, like sitting in the seat of the other, or like having superhero powers to be able to transcend some of the things that we've been through as a people. So I was like, cool, I can dig this a little bit.
Okay.
I like it.
Now Tanya, I might ask you something specifically about cosplay, because people who do it know a lot about it, but people who are not necessarily participants don't know anything about it. How would you define cosplay to somebody who is totally uninitiated to this phenomenon?
The technical definition of cosplay is literally the 2 words together. It's costuming and play. And so most people that you will encounter at a convention or a theater, a movie opening or whatever, they are in character in their costume. And, they can spout back lines from the movie. If, the character uses the sword, they know the katas and all this kind of stuff. I, on the other hand, generally tell people that I am wearing a costume.
Okay.
People call me a cosplayer. I tend not necessarily to always engage in the play side of it.
Right.
But that is, the technical answer for it. So it kind of goes beyond just wearing a costume for most people. Most people who cosplay, they very much want to actually embody the character.
Right.
And so, at the same time, I tend to build a little bit differently. Some people only build characters that they're in love with. I like to build for the sake of building. So usually my love comes from my research as I'm, creating the costume, because I often pick things that are going to be a technical challenge for me.
Right.
So it tends to be a bit different. So.
Okay, in terms of doing research, come up with your costumes, what's your process?
Usually, you read something, or you go to see a film, or you pick up a new comic, and for me, it's usually I see something and I'm like, wow, that is pretty awesome. My parents are both creative people, but in very different ways, and so I never had a store-bought costume after I was about 7 years old.
Wow, okay.
I had the plastic ones with the mask, and then one year, McCall's put out patterns, and my mom made me a Batgirl costume. And that was pretty much the end of that.
It's been on since then.
It's been on like Donkey Kong ever since. And I did take a break. And when I got, after college, I think I kind of felt like, I'm getting a little bit too old for this. This is a bit silly. I should put these childish things aside. And then I saw Pacific Rim and kind of lost my mind and was like, I really want to wear that pilot armor. So I started trying to call around and find somebody where I could buy one, somebody could make me one, and people were like, no, that's too complex, nobody's making that. If you want that, you're going to have to make that. And I was like, I don't know where to start. And so from there, that's how I realized how you have to start. And, if it's a film, there's sites out there that have every frame of the film broken out. And so you go to those sites and you download as many images as you can get of the costume from different sites. If it's a comic, my Marvel Unlimited account, I keep turning it off and on, because I'll see something cool and then I'll turn it back on so I can go read all the back issues that included this character and the different variations. A couple of weeks ago I went to MomoCon and I was Misty Knight, but I wanted to be kind of an in-between 70s and the current Misty Knight, so I had to go back and read all the Daughter of the Dragon books. So, I got to turn the Marvel Unlimited account back on so I can go back and get these books. Right. So, for me, it's usually consuming the actual material that character came from, and then from there I make patterns, or I buy commercial patterns that I then edit, or I marry together parts from several different ones to put together a final look.
Okay. All right, Jarvis, still staying with the cosplay theme. I know a lot of the members that are on the site, either they deal directly with cosplay or they're familiar with it. In terms of some of your future endeavors in dealing with science fiction, do you think you would incorporate the world of cosplay into some of your characters? Or flesh them out so that, they go from being a digital medium to actual people playing the characters out in real life?
Most definitely. I think it's a excellent way to bring attention to what you're doing. And I'm glad you asked that, because we're doing a 3D film, Earth Squadron, which is like a combination of Independence Day and X-Men. And so we have a number of characters, both alien characters and Earth soldiers. And the Earth soldiers have armor and suits. And I've already tapped Tanya to help out in the near future, hopefully next year, where we can work together and make a cosplay outfit so that we can help promote the movie by having one of the actual characters there walking around at the different events, talking and promoting things.
Okay. I'm going to take a step away from science fiction for a second. I'm going to give a plug to your book, Chastity. Could you tell us the title of your book and what inspired you to take this idea and see it to the end and actually have a physical book that you can share with people?
Sure. My book is called Could I Really Be President? It's for families, like babies, elders, grandparents, everybody sit down and read the book together and then share experiences. What inspired that was my grandmother. She was kind of the fuel behind the finish, if you will. And I was sitting down thinking about my life and kind of the impact that she's had in it. And I thought about, man, my grandma just missed this big election, you know, of our first African American president. And I wonder what kind of conversations we would have had. I wonder what she would have said. So I reached down in my imagination and pulled this book out. And I kind of relived, well, I didn't relive it because it never happened, but I thought about what would have happened had she been here and imagine that as a little boy kind of traveling through that journey. What gave me the fire to do it though was keep visiting Jarvis. I was like, man, I'm trying to be like you. He was like, just do it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And so finally I said, let me put the pen to paper and let me actually do it. And so I did. I released it this year. The workbook is coming, and then also with that I do a lot of vlogs and different things like that to where I'm actually sharing some of the things that are inside my head so other people other than the studio audience that lives up there can enjoy them too.
Right.
You know?
And you said there was a workbook on it. What kind of things will be included in a workbook related to your book?
Well, I was just on the radio station, and I think William Hayashi that hosted called it an active dream journal, which I thought was like, I'm digging that. I may post, tag, what is it, hound, yeah, all that. Let me do that. Let me do that. I like it, but it's helping kids with vocabulary and identity. Like, who am I? What do I want in the world? How do I see myself? And then getting them to interact with parents and then have that conversation. Oh, your name means this, or, you know, just really pounding out who they are in the world and figuring out what those superpowers are that they have, and then making the impossible possible. Because I think in 2016, I don't think we've seen impossible.
Right, that's true. Now, Tanya, how many, I guess the way to put it is, how many man hours does it take to make a costume like the one you have on now? I'm sorry.
1 hour.
What? You know what I mean.
People hours. 8 hours.
Yeah, people hours.
Well, actually, the costume I have on today is, I'll be honest, is what I consider a lazy costume. Because it was mostly fabric, and I made the underpart from an actual pattern. So this didn't take me that long. It might have taken me, time to go buy fabric, picking fabric, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 hours. Other things like the Pacific Rim costume, it's into probably thousands of hours and definitely thousands of dollars.
Okay.
It just depends on what you're making. I just finished a client commission that it probably took me 60, 80 hours, and it's what I call a 3/4 costume because it actually didn't have a back, because it only had to be visible and shot from the front. It just really depends on what you're making. Some people that do like the really big suits, I just came back from Heroes Con in Charlotte, and there was a guy there who had a full-size Hulk Buster, and he's been working on it for like 3 years. And I've actually tried to adopt tools so that I better track my process. I think for most cosplayers, you always get to a point where you're like, I don't have any time anymore to stop and take any pictures. I just must get this thing finished. And then, so you'll see often, like in my journals on my website, there'll come a point where, oh, there's no pictures. And now there's just suddenly things. Right. Because you get to a point where you're like, I have to make the thing. So, when you're working on something that literally takes you years, you lose track. But there are definitely people who spend thousands of hours. And, you have the one that you love. And so for me, the Pacific Rim one is the one that I love. So I've gone back to it many, many times. IndyCon is here in Atlanta in August, and I do Lady Sankofa. And that suit is on like version 4.0. So it's several hundred hours in the making because it's been made out of different things. The very first time I made it was when I really didn't know what I was doing. It actually came out pretty good considering I didn't know what I was doing. But since then I've used different materials and different processes, and so like now I've very much gotten into using like thermoplastics and stuff like that. And so those you would think that you're actually going to save some time, but they can take even longer. So
now,
it just varies.
When you dress up in costume as a character multiple years on end, do you rebuild that costume, or do you just add on to what you had from the previous year? Like you just rebuild the
Well,
character?
I am probably the worst sort of person to be involved with something like this because I'm very anal retentive. And so as I learn, I usually am unable to find what I did previously acceptable. Like I'll look at it and I'll very much want to keep it, but I'm kind of like, yeah, but I could make all of that so much better now. And usually I tell people anytime you see me wearing something, there's probably 4 do-overs in a bin at my workshop. And so whenever my friends are like, that is really awesome, I'm like, come by the shop. There's enough pieces that you can copy yourself together with. Because, I've got, 4 or 5 legs in a corner and 2 or 3 arms. So that usually isn't the case, but there's costumes that I wore that they weren't actually complete, but only I knew that they weren't complete. There was a part missing or there was some element that didn't come out quite right. And so sometimes I'll revisit those and I'll just add on to it. But generally I find myself rebuilding whole parts or the whole thing.
Jarvis, what are some of your keys to success in terms of keeping this community, the Black Science Fiction Society, going? Because I know it's not the easiest thing to, it's almost like herding cats sometimes, having a whole bunch of different people, different professions, different skill sets, and also different personalities.
I think one of the main things is keeping in the forefront that it's not just me that's responsible for keeping the site going. It's really a community effort because you have videos, you have blogs, you have pictures that are posted up, you have events, and everybody that's a member of the site gets to contribute to that. And so that content, whether it's a picture of this event or, hey, this is my comic book or this is my book, that's new stuff being put on there every day. And then in addition to you seeing the new stuff there, the person that posted something gets feedback from the site that, hey, I like that video, okay. Oh, how did you do that? And then you get to network. So it's the key to the site is the community, and that's one of the things I set out at the very beginning to make it a community, not just a site where most sites are, where you have some information and some content. You go there and look at it, and then okay, you leave. There's nothing to bring you back. So I think the key is community and making sure that the site is what I call sticky in a manner to bring people back. And we try to always keep new content and useful information on there so that people have a reason to come back.
Okay. Now, Chastity, when you're delving into science fiction, and you were talking about what the concept of Afrofuturism means to you. What is one scene out of either a movie or a book that has really struck a chord with you that really I guess inspired you to think about that imaginary world, so to speak?
After Earth with Will Smith and his son.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my brother is a Batman fanatic. I mean, his wallet. He's a grown man, by the way, but his wallet, I mean, his shoes, his house shoes, everything is Batman. And so he's very creative. I'm very creative. And again, I have creative parents who kind of sort of in different ways. They do music, they do different things. So my brother has always wanted to make a movie with me. And, I do kind of the writing side of it with the music, and he can come in and do some of the music and the direction and some of that. But seeing Will Smith and his son on the screen in this kind of after apocalyptic Earth type situation was first of all, I loved the movie. I thought it was incredible. But then when the cameras went off or the lights came on and you see the credits and it's like Will, his son, his wife, his brother-in-law, like the whole I was like, is this the whole Will Smith, like 3 generations of them? I cannot with this. I need to do this where like everything is like, an extension of your family. Family is extremely important to me.
Right.
And also to kind of add in on that, I work with kids. I'm a teacher, and that's the element that's missing in the classroom. It's like that we're not a team. I'm your kid's teacher, but like we're on a team together. Like you have to tell me what's going on, and I have to tell you what's going on. And because that teamwork is not there, I guess I know that I'm partial to things that promote family and that utilize family and that go back to that family culture that a child or an adult or a teenager or whatever the case may be can build on. And so yeah.
Antonia, who are some of your, I'm going to say influence, but who are some of the people that influence you, whether it be artists, authors, or otherwise?
Influences. Weirdly, so definitely my mom. Because, so my parents are creative in different ways. My dad, he's always done like metal work, and he actually works as a professional carpenter. But my mom is one of these multimedia people. Like, she can use anything. You know, acrylic, she does painting, she sculpts, she does jewelry. And so, in my own process, I think that fearlessness in trying something new, and oh wait, it might catch on fire, I got that from my mom. Right. Because she's always like, what is this thing? How do you use it? Can I make something else with this thing? As much as, on the cosplay side of it, there's people that I stalk on Facebook, and I don't stalk like, any of the usual suspects usually. There's a guy out in California named Sean Shaw, who I think most people know him from, he did like a really awesome Black Panther 2 years ago at San Diego Comic-Con. I think that's the thing that kind of elevated him. He, he's not one of these builders. A lot of times when you're looking online at who's building what in cosplay, they tend to kind of be middle-aged white guys that they have a basement with thousands of dollars of stuff. They've got every power tool known to mankind. They've got 3 or 4 3D printers. They just got all this stuff. And so I think a lot of people look at it and they're afraid of the entry point because they're like, okay, I cannot build an awesome costume unless I have all these things. But I started watching this guy, Sean Shaw. He's a Black guy. He's in his mid-30s, I think. He's got 1 kid with cancer and another small child at home, and they live somewhere in, I think, like East LA. So when he's posting pictures of his workspace, I think he has a room in the back of his house. They've got burglar bars on the window. When he's posting that he's painting stuff, you can see graffiti in the background. And dude takes commissions from movie companies. Wow. Because he is making this stuff. This is where I live, this is my community, and this is how I'm doing. Right. So he's one of the people that I look at him and I'm like, this guy doesn't have all this stuff. Right. He sculpts a lot, he does a lot of casting and that kind of thing, and he's using what he has. And so for me to be able to actually begin building, it was much easier for me to look at someone like him and look at the work that he was doing on kind of a limited budget in a small room. He didn't have this Tony Stark basement. I can, you online, and these guys are like, hey, I'm Bill so-and-so, and I got this, I'm not taking anything away from those guys. Right. They're awesome too, but it can be very daunting when you're like, how do I do this, without all this stuff? And you think you need stuff. And so, I started following him, and there's I think she's German. Her name is Kamui Cosplay. And she is a woman, and she does lots of armor. And she was the first person I saw using like thermoplastics and stuff like that. And she started out just, I think, crafting stuff just to go to conventions, and she's kind of made it into a career for herself. So those are 2 people that I probably look to the most often, because both of them, she lives in like a studio apartment. So she's always, whenever she sands anything, girl has like maybe 500 yards of plastic. And she takes all this plastic up, and she's in what is her living room with like a belt sander. And she's like, yeah, so I'm doing this now. And you can see like, the kitchen behind her. And I love that. And so those 2 people are kind of my inspirations, because I'm like, they're doing it with what they have in the space that they have.
What was his name? Sean
Shaw. And he will not, for whatever reason, I don't think he even has a cosplay page. He just has his regular Facebook. And he'll be like, yeah, I couldn't talk about this thing, but here's the thing that I did for Bungie last week. And then he'll go back to doing like a costume for his kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jarvis, what are some of the tools that you use to pull off what you do in terms of like the community group? You was talking about the movies that you're developing, and and also like, coming up with, doing typesetting for it. But what are some of your tools that you use to actually pull this off?
Okay, that could be a mixture of stuff. Actually, with the website, I use a database called Ning, and I'm using the 2.0 version. The new version, they have a new version now, but I like the second version because I don't want to let it go. And so it has everything I want. So
And it works.
it's functional, and I'm notorious about that. I won't go out and buy stuff just for the sake of buying. Oh, I got the newest stuff. I actually use what I have, and that does everything that I want. So today, tell me I can't use that one, I'm gonna use it. And so, Ning as the database, and I still have Photoshop 7, or no, the CS1. I think I'm
CS1?
I still have my own disk. I know.
A disk? As in floppy?
I still have a CD-ROM.
I
But
had to go buy one. So, my new laptop it came out, and I was like, "What am I supposed to do?"
I'm not sure what they're up to, like CS7 or something, but I'm on CS1, and I use that to do my graphics because it's functional and it's paid for.
Yeah. I mean, that's the two best things, right? That's the two best factors in having something, right?
Most definitely, and so that covers pretty much the website. For the magazine, I use a company. Two things. I use a company called. What is the name? Oh, Kablam Indie Planet. It's like they have two facets. So one part is Kablam and the other part is Indie Planet. So when I have one of the site members, he actually lays out the magazine. And once he lays it out, then we upload it to Kablam Indie Planet. And so we can have a physical printed out magazine, not just a website, it's a physical printed out magazine. I think we're up to 56 pages now. We started off with like 48, then we went up to 52, with 56 pages on each magazine. For that covers the print magazine. We use a site called Jumag, where you have that same PDF file from the layout of the book. You upload it to them, and it converts it to a payable and subscription system. You can set your price, and people have access to it like Kindle. And so that covers the e-magazine portion of the magazine. We use, as for the radio show, we use a system called TalkShoe. And TalkShoe, everybody uses Blog Talk. I think that's like the most common one. But TalkShoe, they pretty much do the exact same thing, but they're free. And so I was like, should I use Blog Talk? Or should I use TalkShoe? Since I'm on a budget, I think I stuck.
use the free one that
Yeah.
works the same way.
Yeah, so we have. That's the question. So we talk to host our show every Friday night. That allows us to do a live broadcast just from a cell phone. And immediately, maybe 2 hours after the show airs, it's saved as a podcast, so you can download it, you can share it, you can do all that type of stuff. And with the book, that's pretty much Microsoft Word, and I'll edit everything in that I want, and I send it off to the copy editor, because we have like a team that does the copy editor, the cover person, and the layout person, and they're all members of the site as well. Okay. So that pretty much covers the technology, with the exception of, of course, using social media, which is both the Facebook page, the Facebook group, my main timeline, Twitter, Pinterest, and probably another 10 or 15 social media platforms. And one that I want to share with you, I find real interesting. It's called Scoop It, where it helps me out where I don't have to log into Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and there's another one I can't think of right now. But once I post on one item on Scoop It, I can send it out to all 5 of those sites at one time. So that cuts down on me having to log into each separate account and send the information out. So that's one tool that I use to kind of spread the word of what we're doing.
You said stupid?
No, Scoop It.
Scoop, yes, like SK.
SC.
Wow.
SC.
SC, yeah, stupid. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Taking a note.
switch gears a little bit, and we're gonna step outside of science fiction once again. And I'm gonna start with Chaz. I'm gonna ask all y'all the same question this go around, but I'm gonna start off with you, Chaz. What is your creative environment look like? Like when you're sitting down and you're writing and you're making your book, and also you say you blog a lot too, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is this scene look like? Do you have music playing? Not? Do you have your favorite drink, or do you just tune in? So for you, what is your scene look like? What does your environment look like?
I don't really technically have a creative process. Like let me like 6 M&Ms that are green and like this glass, like this. I don't do that.
My favorite crystal.
Exactly. Let me put that right
in my
here.
belly.
You're like 6 inches to the right. Like I don't do that. Like
What do you do?
usually, if a story hits me,
Yeah.
it'll happen at the most inopportune time, or while I'm doing something, or cooking, or eating, or in the kitchen, or driving. And it's like, boom, here's the story. And I'll see it, and I'll see all the characters, and I'll hear what they're saying, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is a great story, but I'm in, traffic.
Yeah.
So I'll write the story in my head, and then when I sit down to it, I'm like, okay, this is what happens, and I'll do it that way. I will use music. But it's not like R&B or hip hop. It has to be like that new movie music that's like in the background of something. I'm like, yeah, I can see this scene, and I'll write it this way. But that's about it. Like one of my blogs, I wrote about the Flint situation, and in writing it, like I heard the music, I saw it, and then I was able to like go piece it together with writing, and then actually make a little video of it as well. But that's about as complex as I get. Skittles, giving kids Skittles at Halloween party, and boom, there's the story. All right, let's save it in my little down, low place, and then when I get some time, I'll write it down. That's it.
Okay.
I actually do have a workshop, but it's not a Tony Stark workshop. I have the Ultimate Hood Workshop. It is in between a trucking company and a woodworking shop in a subdivided warehouse, and it's a room not quite as long as this one, and I have no money, so I share it with a guy that cosplays as Thor and a Ghostbuster. So he has one side and I have the other side. When I'm actually doing fabrication stuff, I do go over there. The rest of the time is probably just at my computer. We're just out in the day-to-day world. I go to a movie and it's really, really awesome, and usually right after the movie I get on my phone and see if I can find, turn around to that character, and I save all this stuff to my phone, and then I put it in my Dropbox.
What are turnarounds?
Where you can see all sides of the character, which no one ever gives you the back, so you just put party in the back because no one knows what it looks like anyway.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of time on my computer, and my computer at home, like Jarvis, I like to keep things as long as I possibly can. So I tend to, I'm not afraid of cracking the box open, so I tend to have like these hacking Franken computer things that I've like upgraded everything that I can. It's overclocked now and it's heating up, and it's sitting on like a box fan because it gets really hot. So like right now I actually have, it looks probably like some 15-year-old boy lives in my bedroom, because I've got a gaming system, so I've got 2 big monitors and my laptop and another laptop, and I have like a digital cutter, and I've got a 3D printer, and all that junk is actually on what I call a desk, but what IKEA sells as a table.
Wow. Okay. Great answer.
Yeah. So
That's very
that is my workspace.
Okay. Jarvis?
Okay, I'm a little bit haphazard. I'll get an idea, and I keep like a notepad, and I write stuff down. And then if you notice, I always walk around with my bag. I have my laptop wherever I go, general. And so I'll just, if I get time, I'll kind of make time. I find like a quiet place, or make sure to bring my headphones, and I can pop up, and I'll do stuff at home upstairs, or in the library, or Panera Bread, or my new place is Starbucks. They have music that I have to tolerate.
These spots.
What are you talking
They
about?
have free Wi-Fi.
So
And
they have it at McDonald's too. Parking lot.
Look. I would use McDonald's, KFC, anywhere that has free Wi-Fi, and I'll have pop my headphones on and get to work while I do graphics, whether it's 3D, because I have a 3D program on there too. It's just pretty much anywhere I can find a quiet spot to do stuff. And like I said, the ideas pop in my head, I write it down. I write everything down because I have so much going on. If I don't write it down, I'm gonna forget it. I'm like 80 years old or something, my memory is nothing. So I write everything down, and I rehash that list every week. So if something doesn't make that list, it gets pushed over to the next month, next week, and that's what I start on first. So I make sure it gets done.
Right. Okay. Now,
So you don't just have these lists. I just got like stacks of lists, and I just stare at them and go, I can't get to any of that in this lifetime. What am I gonna do?
Well, before I forget, that one tool that I did forget is Microsoft OneNote, and it comes with the Microsoft Suite, so that allows me to categorize all the projects that I'm working on and then break each one of those down. And I can just pull either my laptop or my Microsoft phone and pull what I'm supposed to be doing, or reference some old information for me to get to.
They've inspired me to actually answer this question too. I'm an author, so I write stories and stuff like that. So my writing environment, you remember, I think you was talking about like you don't have like certain things that have to be in place. I kind of feel guilty about it, but
No,
what?
it's your space. It's you.
You understand once I tell you. Okay. I have to have chocolate. Well, I eat chocolate like all the time, so it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But I had to have, when I'm writing, I do need chocolate. And it's chocolate, it's Hershey's with almonds, right?
That has to be the chocolate.
That has to be, yeah.
Okay.
I do my best writing when I got that and Mountain Dew. Okay.
Wow.
And I'm trying to get away from Mountain Dew and trying to, so I only pull it out for when I really have the scene where I want to be and I'm ready to get down to some serious writing. So I've cut down my Mountain Dew intake, but I've just noticed that that's one of the components to
Get
go
that
to my
sweet
store.
spot.
I know, yeah, but it's just other sodas don't work like that. And other drinks don't work as well as getting the good stuff out. You know, like the good.
Well, I drink
You
a
got
lot.
stuff
I drink
to
a
do.
lot of dollar store 5-hour
When you got
energy.
stuff to do.
Whatever that knockoff stuff is they sell. I notice it makes my extremities numb sometimes, but you know.
Yes. Another thing
You
is
gotta go to the inexpensive gas stations have
I
Ribbit.
cannot.
It's like Red Bull, but 99 cents.
And then you have
Or
your own
Tall
generator.
Can.
Yeah.
A little shaky out.
Yeah.
It's
Told
called-
you.
It's
Suffering
called
for your
a
art.
nap. If you can sneak one in.
Oh no, it's called a hot night.
And
While hyped up on like knockoff 5-hour energy and Oreos at 4 a.m. and you're like, what is smoking?
Right. No, but and another thing for me, like you say, you play music in the background. Like I try to listen to music. I try to watch movies, and all that stuff throws me off. I have to turn all that crap off and just write. And sometimes I'll sit in front of the screen and nothing will be happening except for stuff in my subconscious that I don't really get privy to until it's like ready to be hashed. But yeah, but I had to throw my little 2 cents. Chocolate, Mountain Dew.
Well, now I will admit that if it's something that I really, really have to think about, sometimes I should take a shower.
Yep.
Because I don't know, I guess it's when you're in the shower, you're not really focused on anything but the fact that you're in the shower. So I have been known to intentionally take a shower so that I could solve a problem.
Yeah.
The water flows.
Yeah.
Thoughts flow like the water. Makes sense.
And also the hour of the day, like I tend to do like my best creative work between like 11 and 3 in the morning, 11 at night, 3 in the morning.
Oh yes,
Oh,
whenever
yeah.
my eyes don't fall shut first.
Yeah.
Right with you.
All right, so we're gonna switch back into science fiction. So Jarvis, what? Actually, I'm gonna ask Chastity first.
Ha.
What science fiction book or story that you've read you really like that you'd like to see turned into a movie, turned into something that's visual as opposed to just being a book?
Octavia Butler's Adulthood Right series.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like I want to see Lilith picking out people. I want to see the gentleman she chooses. Like I want to see what a movie would look like to somebody Because like in my head, I've had 5 different versions of them as I read it and teach it. I'm like, okay, well, the gray, and then like they slither, so maybe they're like a semi-octopus. Like, I don't even know. I would like to see somebody super uber creative bring that to life, maybe in 3D form, like a la Avatar. That would be hot.
Probably the book that I really fell in love with was Joan Devine wrote this book called Scion, and I think I read the first Scion book when I was maybe 8th, 9th grade, but she would only write another book like every 10 years, and it seemed to coincide with points in my life. So I read that first book, I think in the 7th or 8th grade, and the next book showed up like my freshman year of college. And then the next book showed up when I got to grad school. And so I would very much, because I kind of felt like I grew with the character. Because every book, it would have been several years since the last time you encountered this character. And basically in the book, the character is described as being a nut brown color, and there's never really much background given to. He's an orphan, but there are a bunch of half-breed children that are created after humans' first contact with the aliens. And so he's basically dispossessed in many ways. You know, he's half alien, it's very much inferred that he's probably a person of color, and he is always, you know, the underdog in these stories, but he always comes out on top. And so I very much empathize with the character, and so I would love to see what that would look like, you know, live action, because I know what it looks like in my head.
Right, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna have to cheat a little bit. There are 2 of them that I really would love to see. And the first one I have to default back to, I think the godmother of all of us sci-fi stuff that got me into this was Octavia Butler's Pattern Master series. To me, that would be like the equivalent of a people of color X-Men. I would love to see people with those powers. Doro and all of, I would love to see that. And the second one is one of the site members, and he also hosts a radio show on Friday. Weave Hayashi has a trilogy called Discovery, the Discovery series, where black people have been living on the dark side of the moon since the beginning, since before Neil Armstrong. And it shows, you know, how that came about, where, I'm just giving a little bit of it, where a college student finds out how to manipulate gravity. And so he wants to keep this technology to himself because he knows what happens when you share it. So he finds other people that are genius level like himself, highly smart people, and they all move eventually to behind the moon and develop their own colony there. And their book follows the beginning all the way till when the people on Earth find out about it and what happens at that point. And so I'm on the 3rd book now, but I would love to see that as a film. I really would. Any kind of film that could be cartoon or 3D or live.
Okay.
Stop motion.
You was talking earlier about how you use Windows OneNote, and then you can also use it on your phone. What are some of your favorite apps that help you be a creative, that help you push your creativity out?
I had alluded to someone before where the OneNote keeps me within bounds, but I've used Photoshop, and like I said, some of you missed it. I'm sorry, Photoshop CS1.
I'm talking about phone apps.
Oh, phone apps. I think the whole Microsoft suite, I have access to that on my phone because I have a Windows phone, where I can type papers, you know, ideas and stuff into either OneNote or Word, or I don't use much creative stuff. I'll play trivia crack on my phone to kind of stimulate. I know, I'm a nerd. That kind of stimulates my thinking. It's trivia crack.
Okay.
Because it makes you think. And so between stuff, I'll kind of play that and I kind of get the juices flowing. And so it's a little game, but that and OneNote, I would say. I don't have many apps.
How about you, Jess?
Okay, confession time.
Uh-oh.
Instagram, I'm a troll. I will watch I'm saying whatever, I will like, really? Why is this trending? Because I want to get behind the psychology behind the trend to see if it tells me something about the society that I'm in, the people that I'm in, and this is what my kids are watching. Not my personal children, but my students. So I want to see, okay, this is up here, why? I'll look at Twitter to see what's trending, Facebook to see what's trending. What other stuff do I use? Flipbook is good for news. Like I'm a news fanatic.
Okay.
Anything else that I use? Yeah, Kick, any of the social stuff. I'm down with it. I'm like, yeah. Except for Periscope. I don't like to film myself so much.
All right.
You
Okay.
know?
I use an app called Toogle, which is a time and project tracker. Because I also do like a lot of, like everybody, I have 17 hustles. So I have to keep track of my hustles for billing purposes. So I like Toogle because you can basically load a project and you can stop and start it. Like literally, it puts a big red button on your phone. So if I start the button and I'm working on this right now, I can stop and start, and it all links back to your Toogle account. So then, no matter where I log the time, if I did it on my desktop or my laptop, my iPad or whatever, it keeps all my time together. For the purpose of the costumes, it's hard to do commissions without having a good idea of how long it's going to take you to fabricate. So I've been using it to kind of track my own fabrication speeds. So yeah, that and Dropbox is my favorite thing because I'm forever telling people, put that in my Dropbox, or I put things in my Dropbox. I take a lot of photos with my phone, whether it's just, I go to Home Depot and I'm considering buying something, I'll take a photo, I'll take a picture of the tag to see if I can't find it cheaper somewhere else. I don't want to keep all that stuff in my phone and then lose it, so I put it in my Dropbox. And so those are probably my two favorite apps.
Jarvis, what do you feel like are some of the barriers in genre of science fiction that need to be overcome, and also that you overcome with your community society?
Oh, some of the barriers are in participating in it. Sometimes it can be financial. I might not have the money to fly to San Diego and go to one of the con.
Right.
Things of that nature. So I've learned to kind of plan ahead and come to different cons like IndyCon, going like this, and still be able to spread the word about what I'm doing, but have the maximum return on investment. One of the other barriers is, I would think, time. Forcing yourself to make the time to do the stuff that you want to do, because we make, I don't have time. It's 24 hours in a day, and I've gotten past that. So I tell people now, if you take an hour a day and work on whatever project, whether it's a comic book, artwork, or a book, at the end of the month, that's 30 hours. It's like you've sat there for a week and worked on your project. And so that's another one. I guess that would be priorities too. But most of the barriers, I would think, are self-imposed.
Okay. Chastity, what is your process for handling creative block?
If I don't feel it, I don't force it. Let the force be with me. Like, when it comes, I'm like, here it is. That's the best diet to go on. So you know how people say, if you're not hungry, don't eat? Yeah, you can fit in them pants. It's my thing. If I don't feel it, I'm not trying to write it. Because I think that, for me at least, when you're reading something, to me, it'll come across. I think some of the most beautiful prose I've ever written, I've ever read, would be probably Zora Neale Hurston, who is not exactly science fiction, but I think that when you read her stuff, like, you could tell she was feeling this character, like their eyes were watching God, and some of those writings, like, you could I feel that, and that's what I want you to get from whatever I write. Like, dang, I feel that, like in the heart, in the gut.
Okay. So if it's not there, then you don't push it.
If the fire's not there, I don't push it.
Okay. Now, Tanya, if you had an unlimited budget and unlimited access to all the tools that you can get your hands on, what would be that ultimate costume that you would build?
Places that I stalk that I fear that I will never tread is like the big builder groups. So it would probably be something like Evangeline 01, something like that, it would be one of the big mech suits that was like fully operational though. You know, it would have to have like guns that actually work and flip and all the lights, and I'd have the construction stilts, so it would really be 12 feet tall and all of
You want real
it, with
guns?
sound effects.
You want real guns on there?
Yeah.
Why not?
The lights are real, might as well have the guns real.
Why not?
You got a limited budget.
I have an unlimited budget, and I can sell it to the feds later. It's just a prototype.
From jail.
Yeah, from jail. But you know they let people out. If they like what you're doing, they'll let you out and give you a job. So
Right.
I work with those people at work. So yeah, I know it does work that way.
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna pose this question to everybody, so I guess you can start off with the answer. If you could go back in time and talk to your, let's put you back in 12th grade. Your 12th grade you, 17, 18-year-old you. What would you tell you to help you become a better creative person? Like, what would you tell you to pull that creativity out of you to even a higher degree?
Mommy and daddy love you, but they are from a different time. So the information that they're going to give you about career choices is based on their current experience with what it means to work and earn a living in the world. Yeah.
If I could go back to 17 or 18-year-old me, I would tell myself to don't get too educated to where you forgot to be creative. Don't get too educated. Yeah.
That's a tough one, but I would think I would encourage myself to do whatever you have, whatever that you want to do, you can do it. Make sure to stay focused and follow through. Those are, I think those, know that you can do things that are not in front of you. Stay focused, and with that focus, you got to follow through with whatever it is.
Okay. How much more time we got? Anybody know?
I believe it's technically 5 minutes. Is that
All
right?
right. Oh, okay, so we've got 5 more minutes. Does anybody have a question for anybody on the panel? No? Come on, I know somebody got something. No? Yes, sir.
Are you a Jedi Knight or a Sith Lord?
I am a gray Jedi because not all Jedi believe that you can have balance in the Force with only the good side.
So you're straddling the fence.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
I am Mace Windu, and what? No, seriously. Well, I mean, Mace Windu is one of the characters that they talk about. You know, there's always the ongoing fanboy argument of if there is really a such thing as a great Jedi. And so Qui-Gon Jinn, Mace Windu, even Yoda to an extent, are some of the characters that they say, but there are times when they embrace, you know, the opposite sides of the Force. And that includes things like, you know, just passion, anger, revenge. And so I would say that probably any normal human being, because of our regular failings, no one is capable of being strictly a Jedi. At best, you would be great. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
All right, well, I'd like to thank all of y'all for sitting in and watching us do this panel. Make sure you get everybody's contact information. They got the cash, buy some of their wares, get the business cards and stuff like that. And Jarvis, I really do appreciate you doing everything, like from, you know, organizing the community to keeping it running to like pulling us all together and doing stuff like that. And I like to thank you for being a real positive person, because as long as I've known you, you've always at some point told me, like, if you want to do, because I've already, you know, I'll be like, oh, I'd like to get into that, or, you know, I'm thinking about doing this and this and this, and you've always been even keeled, and you've always been like, just do it. If that's what you want to try, instead of wanting, and basically what you're telling me is instead of wanting to do something, just go ahead and start the process. Take those baby steps and do it. So I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody out here. Listen, thank the other panelists. It's great. Actually, it's great to meet y'all too. You know, I have.
You did a great job. You did a great job.
So, yeah, this is my first time meeting Tanya and Chastity, but I really appreciate getting a chance to talk to y'all.
It was awesome. I had a awesome panel. I enjoyed it.
And I want to thank everybody for participating, because you could have been doing anything today, and you took your time to come and be part of this. And then also, I get encouraged by seeing you all. So y'all don't know it right now, but I'm blushing. So all these kind words that they've said, but
They're heartfelt.
I think you are. I really do, because like it's a community. If it wasn't for individuals like you all, it wouldn't be a productive website.
Cool, it's our camp, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Hey.
Thank you all.